How is it that the Looksmaxxing community keeps on producing the worst possible human beings out there? For an example, this guy. How the fuck do you enjoy these sorts of things that this guy enjoys? And then on top of it, to make it even more crazy, he was trying to negotiate prices when he was attempting to buy this sorts of material, and he was trying to get the prices down, treating it as some kind of a commodity. So you have to be fucked in the head to try to do something like that. And then on top of it, like, why would you even want to buy something like that? And the thing that makes the story even a little bit more crazy, as far as I understood, his girlfriend was the person that told on him, and his girlfriend was the person that basically told everyone that he is purchasing and watching this sorts of material. And good for her. Like, that's so impressive, and I think it's so hard for you to come out as a person and say that your partner is doing this sorts of things. So good that she did that. It's a very good thing that she's going to be staying as far away from the guy as possible, because I would assume that she's his ex-girlfriend now. At least I would really hope so. And the whole community is a little bit confusing, in my opinion, because it's masked and wrapped in something that makes a lot of sense if you just say it out loud. Because men should take care of themselves, men should try to better themselves, men should try to aspire to be more. So if you just kind of talk about the concept as a whole, it sounds good, it makes a lot of sense. But then when you start paying attention to what is it that they're actually doing in the community, it's like bone smashing, doing meth, buying plastic surgeries and doing plastic surgeries on yourself at this young of an age, that is absolutely ridiculous. And I feel like with every single trend, you see one successful person that actually made this successful and they actually made it. I guess the most famous person out of the Looksmaxxing community would be like this guy Clavicular, and he's supposedly rich. He has a huge following, and obviously you can never really tell with social media because you can also buy bots and you can also pretend that you have more money than you actually do. But from everything that he's doing, it seems like he is actually quite wealthy and that he's actually doing quite good when it comes to being a part of this community. But the problem with that is it attracts a lot of young men that are very impressionable, and they're going to think that they're going to be able to achieve the same level of success with doing the same things. And the problem with that is very rarely the truth. Like, some people are going to make it if they get lucky, but for every person that is actually going to make something out of himself and that is actually going to kind of rise within the ranks of this community and end up gaining a huge following and end up getting some kind of a monetary value out of that, there's going to be endless amounts of guys that just fuck up their lives and end up in a worse position than they were when they started this. So it's kind of crazy that like people would actually go through this sorts of thing and people would actually do those sorts of things to themselves. Like, you don't need to do all of this. Just go to the gym, develop a skincare routine, lose weight, buy some new clothes, take frequent showers. That is going to be a huge one. Don't be a smelly piece of shit. And that is already going to do most of the legwork for you to actually look better and for you to actually be as attractive as you can be. Then on top of it, maybe develop some sort of a personality, read a book, maybe try to like communicate more with people, gain some social skills, be able to keep a conversation with a woman. That is also going to help significantly. So not everyone is going to be a model and not everyone is going to have a perfect look. I'm a very average looking guy as well, and I would 100% want to be more attractive than I am, but well, I am the way that I am, so I have to work with the thing that I have. So there are things you can do. There are ways you can improve your outlook. Then on top of it, just earn some money, get a decent job, build up a career, be able to talk to people, and that is already going to provide you with a very reasonably good life, and your quality of life is going to improve significantly. So yeah, the problem with this is I think a very big part of the community is also like younger men trying to do these sorts of things, and they're very impressionable and quite often quite dumb. So that is also a big problem, that just like young men are fucking themselves up, and I don't think that the people representing this are a good influence at all. And well, if you look at this Hulu guy, then that's quite clear that these guys are not really someone you should look up to, and that these guys are not someone that you should follow. Okay, anyways, let's talk a little bit more about today. So today is a Saturday, and I reached the weight that I needed to reach. So today I'm just chilling. I had a nice cheat meal. I had a few steaks, some mashed potatoes. Now I'm eating donuts. I'm going to eat some ice cream. So I am finally having a nice chill day. or just something I really need, because next week is going to be even harder than this week was, because next week I need to decrease my calories even more. And on top of it, I'm going to start doing more cardio because I really need to kind of lock in, and I need to really ramp up the speed in which I'm losing weight. So that is going to be a part of next week, and next week we are going to start locking in even more, if it's even possible, because I'm already quite locked in and I'm already following my diet quite strictly. But this is going to be the fun part, and this is going to be the part where it really becomes complicated, because I will have to lock in even more, which is something I'm kind of excited for, because I really want to see the results. But it's also something that is quite depressing, because I already know that like mid next week I am going to be so miserable. You guys are going to see a completely different me, in a sense of how energetic I am and how talkative I am. I have actually no idea how is it that I'm going to be making these videos, because I'm probably going to be I'm probably going to be able to barely speak. So like, yeah, that's not going to be a good time. That is going to be quite complicated. But anyways, okay, the UFC is about to begin, so I'm going to be watching that a little bit, and then I'll talk to you guys in a few hours. So talk to you guys then. The problem with these cheat meals slash cheat days normally is that like when you start, there is no stopping, because like I've been waiting for this for a week, and I've been so hungry that it's just like, at this point I'm eating not because I want to eat. I'm actually like semi-suffocating because of like how full I am. But basically you're just eating because you cannot really like saturate this like feeling of like hunger, and your body is just like naturally kind of like going for food, because you've been like depriving yourself of food for so long. So yeah, no, it becomes like this weird thing where I don't really even want to eat, but I do, so I keep on eating. So it's just like a fucking strange thing. However, a very good approach that I tried today, and that made me feel much better than the previous time, is not eating some kind of like fucking McDonald's or Domino's, but eating like normal proper food as the main meal. So for example, today I bought ribeye steak, and I cooked like a huge amount of ribeye steak with like mashed potatoes, and I ate that at the beginning. And then afterwards, when I was already full, only then I started eating sweets. And I mean, because of the state that I'm in, I still consumed a fuck ton of sweets, but at least I didn't also consume something crazy like McDonald's or like Domino's or like something shitty like that. So that kind of saved me a little bit. So at least like the main meal was like a good, high quality, decent meal. And plus I got a fuck ton of protein in with those meals. So that's a good thing. That kind of saves this a little bit. So I think that is exclusively going to be the approach going forward, because first of all, it just makes you feel better. And secondly, you're just going to like do yourself a little bit of a favor for the next upcoming day, because you're going to probably feel a little bit less shitty than you would if you would eat like fucking McDonald's, then you would top it off with sweets. So yeah, this was a good idea, and I am for sure going to do this going forward. But oh boy, do I feel like shit. And it's also like I crave these like cheat meals, and I like wait for them, and I dream of them, and then when they arrive, it's good for a while, but then you're just kind of like not really all that satisfied. And to be completely honest, I just want to go back into my diet, and I just want to keep on dieting. So yeah, it's odd. It's like I'm kind of excited for the next week, because I just want to get back to like proper dieting. I want to start doing more cardio, and I want to finally kind of like start reaching my final stretch of the diet. So it is a very strange experience, and it's like this kind of like roller coaster of emotions, because from one side you're dieting and you're constantly miserable. Then when the moment you should be happy finally comes, or the moment where you supposedly should be happy, it's like you're happy for a little bit, but then you want to go back to suffering. So make that make sense. Like, how is that, like, where is the logic in this? So yeah, I feel like it's also like in a very big part just kind of like your food, like your eating habits become dysfunctional, and you don't really have any more like control, and you don't really have balance. So like it's either you're miserable and you're starving, or you overeat and you're miserable, because that is also not going to be a good feeling. So it's like very difficult for you to get this balance back, where you eat just enough for you to feel good, and you do this on a constant basis. So it's either you're starving or you're like too full, and it's like constant like pain and constant like unhappiness in a sense. because you're not really going to be happy in any one of the extremes, because the like point where you're going to be comfortable in is when you have like a decent amount of food in you and when you have enough but not too much. So that is normally where you're going to feel like a normal functional human being. But then if you're starving, obviously you're not going to feel like a normal functional human being because you're fucking starving. But if you overeat and if you can barely move or barely talk and barely breathe, that is also not going to be a great thing, and that is also going to make you feel like shit. So, for the last couple of weeks, this diet has felt exclusively like shit, because I'm either starving or I'm suffocating, basically. But oh well, it's not that bad actually, because like now when I did it this way, I kind of feel okay. It's just like a lot of food and it has no end because I just want to keep on eating. But yeah, I feel like I probably should stop eating soon. Gonna watch UFC, or at least what's remaining of the UFC card. Probably going to chill a little bit, and then I'm already going to hit the sack because tomorrow I have like a full day of like doing proper stuff. So like cleaning the apartment, buying groceries, cooking normal food. Also need to directly jump back into the diet because tomorrow I'm going to be eating exclusively the stuff that I should be eating. So I'm not going to be eating any junk, I'm not going to be eating anything extra. We are jumping directly back into the diet. Also going to be quite interesting to see how is the scale going to look like, because I feel like I'm going to be a big boy tomorrow. The jump in scale, the jump in weight is probably going to be quite significant. So let's see how that's going to look. Okay, other than that, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow as I always do. So see you guys tomorrow.